Art and Hustle podcast, a gallery of conversations, a space where you can hear all the amazing stories and life lessons of my guests. I'm your host, LindaLCheung, fashion designer turned multimedia artist, and I want to give you a space to tell your story.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can see you, and I can see your fabulous new. Is that black, aqua, white
Oh,
shirt?
yeah, it's black, and this has blue and white type flowers.
Yes.
And I said though, okay, I've been wiring a lot of really bright stuff and a lot of red stuff. I thought
Yeah.
this is something that I have so many different. I'm telling you, wait till you see. I've got so many. When you come over to visit, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
bring you up to my study and
Yeah.
let you look at my closet with all of the 169 shirts. You
I think
will
it's funny
not
is that it's 169 also.
Well, it's funny. I was stuck at
Well, cheers to your 169
yes.
shirts
Thank you very
and
much.
our
Cheers
first
to
cocktail
you.
together on the Art and Hustle
Yes,
Gallery of
yes.
Conversations. Welcome, Captain Schiavo.
Thank you very much, Linda. And what are you drinking, by the way?
Oh, so I was introduced to an old fashioned by Miss Winograd's son, Craig.
Oh, very nice.
So
Very nice.
now randomly, I was like, you know what? I think I want to make because I made breakfast for them while they were here visiting.
Right.
And he made me. He's like, oh, thank you for your hospitality, and I'll make you an old fashioned. So
Sure.
now I like it.
For years, I used to order. Um, I used to order them. Usually, they were in old fashions. I believe were made with Scotch.
Mm,
And then one of my friends who was an attorney said, "Well, you know what? Because he knew I liked Scotch, yes, but also I liked bourbon." He said,
yeah,
"Well, I used to have it with wild turkey bourbon.
yeah, yeah,
I really used to use those. And what I like about old fashions, and they're similar to what we also drink, which are Negronis. Now, Negronis, it's almost like an Italian style old fashioned,
yeah.
and but usually they use gin in them. Okay,
Mm,
and they're not super sweet. In other words, Negronis have Campari and a little bit of sweet red vermouth,
yeah.
and a slice of orange. What's nice about those kinds of drinks,
Hmm.
pre-dinner drinks, is that they're not going to knock your socks off or you're so, you know, stoned or whatever
Yeah,
that you can't taste your food and things like
yeah.
that. So they're a nice, easier kind of a pre-dinner cocktail.
Yeah, I know. I like him. I did it the same drink I did for the podcast that your sister actually watched, where I was doing it with Anthony Manfredonia
Right, right.
and my friend Lindsay, and we showed her our senior Parsons fashion show, the one
Uh-huh.
that your sister watched.
Right.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
was drinking that on that podcast.
Yeah, she really got she's getting hooked on your podcast. So that's great,
I
I
know.
think.
Tell me more about that. Tell me
Well,
what
well,
she liked and some
oh no,
feedback
well,
from her.
other than what she told me about, she really loved I guess the fashion thing, the runway thing,
Hmm.
and she was kind of like, she was really, I guess, very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's great.
I
You
know.
notice, wait, and you notice I'm sitting farther away from the screen.
Further away, are you?
Don't you? Could you notice it? No, you
No,
never.
I think, well, well, one, I want to point out, I like the haircut.
Oh, good, thank you. Yeah.
I think it looks good.
And
And
wait, the
huh?
good news is at my age, I still have hair to cut. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
And I think the colored background shirts look good on your
I,
complexion.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Okay. So let's go through some of my saved questions to ask you about.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, I have some funny ones. How to pick up women.
Oh,
Oh wait, you know which one we talked about last time that I want to ask you about was remember we were talking about gay guys that would like give you compliments and try to pick you
uh-huh.
up and you were never offended, so I want to find out why and let the people know why you were never
Oh,
offended.
that but do you know what I used to tell them? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is great. I have to remember, I spent a lot of time on the South Shore beaches, okay, Gilgo Beach in particular. And there were a lot of beautiful
Yeah.
people, men and women. and like lifeguards and everything, and we all with like the guys that I hung out with and the lifeguards they were tanned and muscular and good looking men.
Yeah.
And so and I had one of my I got there because one of my neighbors was one of my oldest. He was old. How many old? He was a few years older than I was, and he was a lifeguard. And I used to go with him to the beach every day during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he started when he was 16.
Yeah.
I must have been, I think he was trying to remember. I think he was 3 years older than I was. But and it was illegal. He lied about his age, but he was a phenomenal ocean
Yeah.
swimmer.
Mm-hmm.
And ocean swimming is it's much different than a pool. So
Yeah.
you have to know the currents and all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of stuff. So rip tides, whatever. So I would go with him. And early on, he warned me that there were certain men on the beach that I
Yeah.
had to be careful with
Mm-hmm.
because that's not necessarily, they weren't heterosexual. And so
They
he
weren't
yeah,
necessarily
yeah, yeah.
heterosexual.
So he pointed them out to me, and but again, the rule of thumb was, like in certain circles, guys who are you know, not homosexual,
Yeah.
they get insulted and they want to punch these gays guys out.
Yeah.
And I had a different attitude, well, about that entirely, because here's what I knew about gay men. Okay,
Yeah.
they're like heterosexual men in the following way.
Mm-hmm.
Most heterosexual men that I know always are trying to score up the hottest women they can
Yeah.
find. Okay? Even when they kind of know that the women are really out of their league.
Yeah.
The guys
Yeah.
may not be that attractive, intelligent, whatever, but they're always trying to figure, well, maybe they get lucky and some girl who's half, half addled, whatever, will say, oh, yeah, he's nice enough, he's attractive enough, yeah. So, but I never felt that way. My feeling was this, because I knew that gay men were like heterosexual men. Gay men wanted to score the best looking men they could find.
Mm-hmm.
So when they would hit on me, my
Yeah.
comment was the following: "Wow, gee, I don't really, because I had a horse, right? I don't really ride down that trail, okay? However, I really can't argue with your taste in men,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That your taste in men is outstanding because you're hitting
And
on me.
take it as a compliment instead of getting mad
Absolutely.
and getting into fights and beating them up, right?
And you know what they would do? They would giggle, they would laugh because they thought, "Oh my God!" But they knew right away. Hey, no, I'm not gay.
Yeah.
I'm not interested, but I do appreciate the fact that you find me attractive. I mean, who
Yeah.
does? Look, this goes back to the thing about I said in another
Yeah.
podcast. It's because I think that anybody who's got half a brain wants to be looked at as being
Yeah.
attractive. Yeah. Uh, Women will say, well, like women will say, well, I don't think men should be ogling me. I don't want to be objectified. Okay, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
even. I don't want to be looked at just a sex
Yeah.
object. And I would have to say to you, I was very happy being objectified. Okay, no, no. And here's how that worked for me as a
Yeah, I
teacher.
have no problems with it either. It's a compliment, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. I mean, when people are so, uh, I don't know, crotchety about being
Yeah, no, I take it as a compliment. You find me
great,
attractive and
but
sexy. Great, thank
sure.
you.
Now listen to me. So now, Linda, here's how sleazy I was as a teacher. Okay, especially when I was a young man.
Yes, I would like to know how sleazy you were.
Well, I won't tell you how really sleazy I was, but I'll tell you how semi-sleazy I was.
Semi, okay.
Semi. And that was the following. I knew when I was in my 20s and 30s and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
the girls in my classes, pretty much, unless they were uh, blind and stupid, found me wildly attractive.
Yeah.
And they would come to my class just because I was attractive.
Oh, just to say
And
hi?
what that?
Just to say hi?
Well,
Or take
they
your
were my
class?
students, but they wouldn't cut class. They come
Oh,
to my
okay.
class and go, "Wow, he's kind of sexy. He's kind of
Yeah,
good looking."
yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I used to play that to the hilt. All right,
Yeah.
because of my notion was anything that any way short of something totally illegal and immoral. Okay,
Or inappropriate, yeah.
absolutely. If that would draw them to my classroom and get and keep the butts in the seats, that they wouldn't cut class and they'd let me educate them or try
Yeah,
to educate them,
yeah.
that was a plus. Okay, that was a
Mm-hmm.
plus. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where I'm saying, you know what, you know, at this age, this is helping me. And the guys didn't get ticked off at me
That's
because
good.
well, I'll tell you why. Because once they realized I wasn't trying to, steal their girlfriends, A, and
Yeah.
then B, they said, well, gee, he's kind of a cool guy. He surfs, he rides horses. They kind of felt, well, gee, he's kind of a cool guy. And boy, I'd like to surf and ride horses too. You
See,
know?
you got that. You see, so the fact that you were a surfer gives you like cool factors.
Mm. There was no question. But another reason why in those days it was kind of a cool thing was very, very few people on Long Island, especially did know they didn't know anything about surfing really. I mean, now it's like
Oh,
it became now it has become like skiing.
yeah, and it's
Uh,
super popular.
it's super popular. Kids do it, grandmothers do it.
So back then it was more rare to know someone who was a
Absolutely, yeah.
surfer.
Sure. And then they would say, "Well, surfing. How do you surf on Long Island? There are
Yeah,
waves on Long Island." And I
yeah.
just say, "Look, any place there's an ocean,
There's gonna
there are going
be
to be
wait,
waves." Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
so, so, and of course, I spent my time traveling a lot, trying to find waves all over the world. Which
So
is what.
wait, one question. Where was the best place that you found for surfing?
Well, the first answer for most people is going to be was or used to be. It used to be the island of Oahu
Yeah,
in
yeah. I would
Hawaii.
think Hawaii, yeah,
Yeah,
first.
and of course, Oahu is where Honolulu is. That's like the most I think that right now it's still the most densely populated of their islands.
Hmm.
But there are great waves on the Big Island, Maui. One of my favorite places was Honolulu Bay, and
Yeah,
but you go to Australia, you go to New Zealand,
yeah,
there are great places, great surfing beaches all over the world.
yeah.
Biarritz, France, for example. Okay,
So these all places that you went to?
yeah. Well, with that I didn't go to New Zealand and Australia. Okay,
Okay.
in fact, those are the two areas we never had. When I was younger, I wanted to go. When I got older, I said, you know what? New Zealand and Australia, um, just like the United States, has wonderful, wonderful topographical, geographical places. And my wife and I kind of both agreed was that going to a country just because of natural wonders
Yeah, yeah.
is secondary to cultural variety and cultural interests.
Mm,
So that's why we've been all over Southeast Asia, North and
yeah,
South Vietnam,
yeah.
Singapore, places like that. We've been all over
So you want
China.
more culture.
We want more culture, yeah, more culture, more varied cuisines. So anyway, but surfing was like in this when I was doing it was a very cool thing and also a very odd thing because nobody
Mm.
was really
So
doing
it
it.
made you unique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where it used to be too. And, okay, when I was in high school, people used to say, well, football players, high school athletes were like the big thing.
Hmm.
A lot of women said, oh, the cheerleaders. Well, guess what? Once I started to be a surfer, that all changed. All of a sudden, they could care a lot less about. Uh, they couldn't care less really about the football players. All of a sudden, all of a
Like,
sudden,
let's go to Schiavo's class.
yeah, yeah,
Let's go talk to the hot teacher.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because I became like a cultural oddity.
Yeah.
I was a rarity. And
Hmm.
again, that's where I kind of was as a pedagogical sleazeball because I said I can use this to get students, males and females, into my
I always
classroom.
wonder, like, how do you not cross that line if you had so many of these women students and women even after high school, like trying to hit you up?
I got to be honest with you. There's a lot of things involved. Certainly, an immense, an
Amount of
immense,
control.
no, immense focus on self control
Yeah.
because I didn't want to get arrested. I didn't want to
Yeah.
lose my job. Okay. Um, and also, I can't. It was tough. It was very tough. It was very tough.
Yeah.
I told you I had girls go. I remember my first senior class. In fact, I had two junior classes and a senior class my first year teaching, 1968, 1969.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the girls because remember I was 22. Okay,
Yeah,
and
you
so
were so young. Yeah.
no, that's about the time when you
Oh,
know
to get
first year.
into the career or
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was funny because it was a great story because I had uh, four classes, not five, 30 some odd kids. And actually, two-thirds of them were girls.
Hmm.
And then I had two junior classes with a preponderance of girls in one. But my other favorite junior class, I had 18 students only, and 16 of them were girls,
Oh, really?
and each one was cuter than the one before. Okay, and they were multicultural. I had black girls, Latina
Yeah.
girls. I mean, I'm telling you, and that class was tough. That was a tough
Hmm.
one for me, because I'd walk in there, and it's just. I always think about, if you know the movie Indiana Jones and was it Indiana Jones and the Search for the Ark or something, whatever it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
I think it was the first one with Harrison Ford, and he's teaching a class. Okay,
Hmm.
up by the blackboard, and it's a girl, and she has her. She's staring at him, and then she closes her eyes, and on her eyelids is one eyelid has love, and the other one has you. Love you. She closes her, and
Really?
I am telling you, girls did virtually. I mean, they did stuff in front of me
Wait, they did that to you?
well, not with that particular thing, but what they
Oh,
would
okay.
do is
Other things.
they would do other stuff,
Like
and
what? What other stuff? Tell us the
well,
scoop.
no, but they were all in on it. They were all in it.
Really?
My Yeah, my senior class, I had a girl sitting right in front of my desk who was, how shall I say, extremely well endowed. Okay,
Okay.
sure. And what she would do is she'd have, let's say, have a cardigan sweater over another blouse or something. And what she would do is, and the girls behind her, they knew she was going to do it, and she would take off the sweater, and she'd stretch, and she'd move,
Yeah.
and she'd kind of push out her bosom.
No, really?
Linda, I don't have to lie about this stuff. I'm sorry.
But how, wait, how did the other students
But
know?
they because they would see her twisting and turning, and
Oh,
and the
okay.
girls on the side would see her like pushing her boobs forward, and of course,
Really?
yeah, and of course, what they wanted to see was they wanted to see my reaction.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so and stuff like that. I had one girl who was extremely well endowed. I'm out
Yeah,
in the hallway. I'm out in
yeah.
the hallway, and she said to me, "Gee, oh, that's I didn't have my cap and license then." She goes, "Gee, Mister S, you want a back rub?" And I'm thinking, "You like back rubs?" I said,
Uh-oh.
"Well, yeah, I like back rubs." So what does she do? She comes around behind me in the hallway. I'm
Uh-oh.
outside the room. I'm outside my homeroom. Okay,
Yeah.
and she was in the homeroom next to me. Comes comes behind me, grabs me, and starts and grabs me around my body and starts pushing, rubbing her boobs into my back, and I'm going, get away from me, get away from me. I said, because I'm thinking, if anybody sees this, I'm dog meat.
You're dead.
I'm
You're
done.
cut.
Yeah,
You're out.
because I'm thinking about the other. If I remember, I think I was at that point, I was a second year teacher. I wasn't on tenure,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I said, are you trying to kill? Are you trying to get me fired?
Yeah,
What
you
the
trying to get
hell are
me
you?
fired? Like,
And then I wasn't. Now I have to admit, it wasn't like I didn't enjoy it. It was the fact that
I'm
I
sure if she was
yeah,
well endowed, you enjoyed it.
yes. And then the other part of it was that I'll never forget my first year of this junior class with the 16 girls.
Yeah,
Oh, please. It's the end of the school year. Okay.
yeah,
And I was giving my last day, it was before the finals. I was giving my last day, I was trying to give this last day speech, inspirational speech about, well, we've had a wonderful year together.
yeah,
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 but and I hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope you've
yeah,
learned something. So I'm going
yeah,
through my whole spiel.
yeah,
And
yeah,
all of
yeah.
a sudden, there's a girl again sitting in front of my desk, her
Uh-oh.
desk, and I hear her starting to count down. And she goes, as I'm talking, she's going
Yeah.
10,
What?
9,
Uh-oh.
8, right,
Uh-oh.
right. So I'm thinking, what the
What
hell
is
is going
happening?
on? All of a sudden, so she goes, guess the one. She goes, now. Remember, a class of 18 kids, 16 girls.
Yeah.
They get up from their desk and they run to the front of the room and attack me. They're jumping all over me. They're hugging me. They're squeezing me. They're on top. I'm telling you, it was a rock. I said, "What?" And because I'm thinking, well, my ego loved it, but I'm thinking, if anybody sees this, I'm
Yeah.
screwed. I am
Oh my
totally
God.
screwed. Okay. So now here's what this means, that when I was training future teachers at the university level, I had to say that both the guys and the girls, because now, of course, nowadays too, we have so many teachers, female teachers, who are actually molesting their male students. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, hey, look, you guys, you got to understand, if you're starting out and you're young and you're even halfway attractive, you're
Yeah.
going to get a lot of interest from your students, males and
Hmm.
females. And you have to get understand what that all means. You got to be professional,
Yeah.
whether you want to or not. Look, I'm sorry, you've heard me say it in another previous podcast.
Yeah.
Sex is a gigantic human drive,
Yeah.
and high school students forget about it. They're just they're all about, look, they're hormone. They're all walking hormones.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah. Yeah.
walking hormones. So I just felt, look, there was plenty of time. Now, frankly, I had a lot of colleagues. Once the girls were seniors and they became 18, if they met them out in the local, pub or whatever, all all bets were off.
All bets were off, right?
Yeah. In other words, and by the way, that was legal, that was
Yeah.
moral, that was fine.
Yeah.
But,
After
but
18.
yeah, but and what happened as time went on, especially nowadays lately,
Yeah.
the issue isn't just sexuality. The issue is power. So in other words, if I
Mm,
were a professor at the university
yeah.
and some girl said, well, look, gee, I'm really into older men and so forth, so on. The
Which I'm
problem,
sure you had some tell you that, right?
let's just say that let's keep the conversation moving forward.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but the issue there now at the university level is power. So, for example, if you have a student and even if the students, let's say, the students are not kids, and that they might be in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever.
Yeah.
The issue is that you have the authority and
Yeah.
the power to give them grades, good or bad or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So now the issue is, okay, you can't use that against them,
Hmm.
and so for the now years ago, it was considered by a lot of university professors to be a perk of the job. The male professors, it was a perk of the job. They expected women, to uh, want to hook up with them,
Yeah.
and it was just not uncommon.
Wait,
Uh,
as a teacher, as a perk of the job?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They'll
Oh,
never. Most people, they don't want to admit to it, but that was not
oh,
un.
that was like a known under the
Yeah,
table kind of
absolutely,
thing. Okay.
absolutely. And now, of course, the other reason why I didn't, by the way, do too much of that at
Yeah.
any level
Yeah.
is because my wife, who I euphemistically call when she's at her worst, Nurse Rat, Nurse
Yeah.
Ratchet.
Yeah.
If she thought I was in any way doing anything inappropriate with any one of my female students, she would have come in. She would have castrated me in my sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would wake up with blood between my legs, and that's the way it would be. She
Well,
would
that's
have.
well, that's like I don't know if it's good or not, but at least it keeps you straight.
No, but Linda, this is the other issue about love, marriage, commitment. That's what that means. It's
Yeah.
and people said to me, I don't know if you asked me, I think maybe you
That's
asked me
probably
about
me.
yeah, yeah, I think you asked me about it on the phone, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, because
in fact,
that's one of the things I'm always asking and trying to learn because I never had that good example of home of a proper marriage, a proper relationship,
right.
boundaries, or how a man should act and how a woman should act. So really, growing up, I don't know any of those things.
Well, here's the thing. Both of us were previously married, and uh, and the fact of the matter is that what I married Ronnie when I was 32,
Yeah.
and I had plenty and plenty of single. I was
Plenty of fun. This is why we have to do a podcast, how to pick up women.
well, that's easy, by the way. That's really easy.
Yeah,
Okay, but
what's your tip? Yeah, I need some tips to give to the
no, no,
people.
no.
The people
Let
need
me
some tips.
finish. Let me finish this thought first,
Okay.
and that is
Okay.
that uh, what happened was that what I started to realize after being very, very single,
Hmm.
actively very single for a long time,
Yeah.
over the years, I had my own apartment when I was 18. Okay,
Yeah.
I was 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And so I had plenty of time and plenty of relationships of
Yeah.
various kinds. And but when I got older, when I was into my mid to late 20s, I realized m- it's one thing whenever everybody's like teenage and you're kind of youngish and everything else.
Hmm.
But when you're older, there's a lot, people have a lot of baggage, emotional baggage, romantic baggage, things like that.
Hmm.
What I found was that so many women of various ages that I hooked up with were really, I found, they were attractive physically,
Yeah.
interesting physically,
Yeah.
but they were emotionally traumatized or carrying all kinds of emotional burdens and
Yeah.
baggage
Yeah.
that I went, you know what, this is just not a, this is, they're not good marriage prospects, number one, and
Hmm.
probably even long-term, relationship, the
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
I never wanted to live with them. I never had any woman live with me ever,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless I was married to them. I was
Hmm.
so in other words, because I felt I needed to be free. If all of a sudden I get there's a woman who I really find attractive, because I had one woman said to me, "Well, let's move in together," and I didn't. I we did lots of booty calls. I liked her a
Yeah.
lot. She was
Yeah.
a great bod. She was not. There was nothing really wrong with her.
Yeah.
I didn't have that like that real, I don't know, that real romantic connection with her.
Okay.
So I said no.
Yeah.
Okay, and because I just didn't want to be tied down. If I wasn't going to be married, I
Yeah.
didn't want to be tied down. Right.
Yeah. Which is good,
So
and it's great that you were honest with them.
yeah. So what
Yeah.
happened was anyway. But when I met, and I think I mentioned this to you on the phone one time, when I met Ronnie, I realized that what made her way more attractive and
Yeah.
willing. Forget about that she was great looking, had a great figure, and also
Hmm.
had a beautiful face, and she was
Yeah.
educated,
Yeah.
and she had a job,
Yeah.
and she wasn't poor. These are all great things, but that wasn't any that those were things were not enough for me to say, "Oh yeah, I want
Yeah.
this woman. I want to get married." No,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because the issue is, will this woman be faithful to me if I'm married?
Mm.
I knew that if I made that commitment, I would be. Okay,
Okay.
and here's why: my value system
Yeah.
and her value system were exactly alike.
Mm.
We knew that there were certain limits beyond which we could not go with each other.
Yeah.
Well, for example, if I had been unfaithful to her in any way, shape, or form, she would have just said, "You know what? I may love you,
Yeah.
yes, and if you're lucky, I'm not going to cut your male genitalia off. But our marriage is over because I will
Yeah.
not tolerate being having an unfaithful husband.
Yeah.
I did that once. I'll never do that again."
Ah, okay.
And I said, I love. I mean, that was great about her. We had a lot of our moral values were the same.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
our social values were the same. How we dealt with people. And I just said, man, this is the woman for me.
Yeah.
And bottom line was that, hey, I've been that way for 45 years.
Well, I commend you for that. And you just celebrated your 45th anniversary.
I,
So congratulations.
yeah, thank you. That's what I think today is the 7th. We celebrated. It was April 2nd.
Second, I think that was Saturday.
It was Saturday. It was Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. And you've been partying it ever since.
Yeah, in fact, we started a week before. We started a week before
Oh,
at
yeah.
our favorite French restaurant, and then we wound up going out yesterday, spur of the moment, at our favorite local Italian restaurant. And we've been such great customers, and we've been, so supportive of this particular restaurant and its
Yeah.
owner.
Yeah.
She gave us as a surprise gift
Oh,
a spectacular, expensive bottle of one of our favorite kinds of wines. It's called
yeah.
Gavi,
Yeah.
Gavi,
Hmm.
and it's Italian white wine, DOCG. And we would just, in fact, today I stopped there to give her a thank you note because
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
we were there last night,
Yeah.
and it was spectacular. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And she's going to be married 40 years in September. The owner
Hmm.
of the restaurant.
Hmm.
And what long-term marriages work,
Yeah.
if they work at all, because they're the people involved, their values are the same. Their
Yeah.
philosophy of marriage, their philosophy of life is the same.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And you can't, if all of a sudden, for example, if my wife said to me tomorrow, I want an open marriage,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
right? I would be shocked. I'd be, but I would say, well, okay, but if you want the open marriage, if that's going to float your boat, that's fine. But obviously, we can't maintain our marriage the way it is now, or
Yeah.
the way it has been for 45 years.
Yeah.
I could I could deal with it. I could say, you know what, you've said it for up to 45 years, you don't find me as even remotely entertaining and attractive as you once did.
Now
I
you need to go outward and look for somebody
Yeah,
else. If that's what you think.
I totally get that. And
Yeah.
I said, well, okay, if you're going to do that, well then, woohoo, I'm free as a bird, and
Yeah.
I'll, I'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're about. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think that's something that people going into a marriage have to understand. It's not about the sex. It's
Yeah.
not about the money. It's
Yeah.
about what kind of people are you? What are your values? What do you believe in?
Mhm.
And what if the and do those values allow you to make a commitment to that other person that you can and are willing to keep?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
by the way, trying to find people who are in concert with your values, it's getting tougher and tougher with each
Yeah, and
passing.
that's honestly something I never knew to look for certain things in a man when I got
Yeah,
married. It
yeah,
wasn't even it wasn't even on my radar to know those things to
sure.
ask. Like now at 46, I realize love is not enough.
No, it has
Can't,
not.
but the thing is that I never knew that. I just came to that realization.
Yeah, but you know what's so interesting about that too? Trying to define love for people is really, I think it's a toughie. It's really a
Yeah.
toughie because,
Yeah.
you know,
Feel like that angle looks better.
this one I had right now.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's better.
Okay, good. So the issue, well, shows up my shirt better. All right.
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
not the other,
and
well, the other way it was going up to the ceiling.
by the way, you'll appreciate this. Let's see, I'll get closer now. You see
It's a
this?
Buddha, right?
No, well, it's a piece of jade,
Yeah.
not a Buddha. Okay, I
Dragon?
got this. I got this in mainland China, and it's my birth sign in Chinese. It's
Oh.
the and by the way, you'll appreciate this. I was born in the Chinese calendar
Mhm.
under the year of the cock. and 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 when you read a Chinese astrological book
Yes.
and they describe people who were born under the year of the cock,
Yeah.
I'm right there, honey.
Right there?
My picture's right at the top of the page.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Look it up. And I say cock. I think it's actually they would say rooster. Now here's this.
They
Look
would
at
say
this.
rooster, yeah.
Wait, hold on. Look at this closer. Where is it? I have another. I just added another little charm to this. I
Yeah.
don't know if you can see this or not. It's probably can't.
What
It's really it's the I don't, you can't probably see it. It's basically
yeah, I can't
um
see it.
okay, it's basically an erect penis and testicles.
Well, the funny thing is I was looking at it, I was like, is that a penis?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So
And
that's funny that I actually thought that, but I
and I
wasn't gonna
no,
say it. I was like, is that a
and
penis? Kind of looks like a penis.
no, and I'll tell you why I got it and where I got it. This is from Pompeii.
Only you, Schiavo, only
Yeah,
you. You
but
are wearing a cock and a penis.
along with my jade.
Yeah.
This is good jade. This is jadeite. This is the real deal. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now,
fix your camera. Quick.
but here's the thing. Now,
Hmm.
if I see the size of this,
Yeah.
they have different levels. If I had gotten the one I really wanted
Yeah.
in China at we were in 2000, this would have been a $25,000 piece of
Really?
jade. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, absolutely.
Really?
This is jadeite. It's good jade, but it's not that same level of quality that And this cost me, a significant amount, but not 25,000. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, but my point was the thing about the penis and testicles on the Venice from Pompeii. That was all over. If you go to Venice, so
Yeah.
you got vendors all over Pompeii
Yeah.
be- selling these. Why? Because that was a very very common symbol throughout Venice.
Oh,
I
okay.
keep saying Venice. I mean Pompeii,
Okay.
and Pompeii was a very sexy city, very sexy.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, and so I said I have to have it. I have to add it to my
I think that is hysterical. Like, who would have thought I'm having a conversation with Captain Schiavo and he's telling me he's wearing a penis and balls necklace, right? I love that I get this inside scoop with
Yeah,
these
but you
people.
know what it is too, because people. This is one of the things about the United States. Thanks to the unfortunate uh, ridiculousness of the Puritans about sex and
Yeah,
the Chris
yeah,
and Christians about sex.
yeah. That no
Uh,
one wants to talk about it.
yeah, you know why? Because
Yeah,
they're so
yeah.
heavily repressed. They're
Hmm.
so afraid of disrespectful of their own bodies,
Yeah.
their own instincts. I mean, I feel sad for people like that.
Yeah. The funny thing
Uh,
is that when I had a conversation with Gary O'Valley, he
right?
said that he traveled the world,
Uh,
when he was young, he would go visit his family, oh, I think in Holland, I think, and he went to Amsterdam around there. But he realized how free they are over there. And also
absolutely.
they didn't have the racism, but he was more free to be able to explore his sexuality and not be hindered. And when he would come here, he realized how everybody is so stifled here.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Historically, you have to remember that Puritanism in America was one of the foundational, unfortunately, one of the foundational religious sects that in this country.
Yeah,
Now, if you go to, let's say, go to England, okay, go
yeah,
to Great Britain, Puritanism was a passing theological trend there for I don't know how
yeah,
many decades. I don't know,
yeah.
30 years, 35 years, and they didn't really take it too seriously.
Hmm.
So, and when you go to the rest of Europe, they go, they have a much more healthy, much more realistic attitude about things involving sex.
Yeah,
Um, uh, because for them, the Puritans says, "Oh, it's sinful. It's this. It's sex is not." I told you, sex is not sinful. It's normal. It's real. It's actual. And
it's
stop.
part of life as long as you're not
Just
abusing it and using it
exactly.
improperly.
So when you go to certain other cultures, you know, uh, you start to realize, well, yeah, man, we Americans are really screwed up about sex. We're
Yeah, yeah.
repressed. We're afraid of it. We make all kinds of rules. We punish people. And this is part of the problem about homosexuality. You know, there have been homosexuals since human beings have been, born,
Yeah.
and in some cultures they're considered to be indigenous Indian cultures in America, other cultures in India and so on, places like that. They're considered to be special people and somehow
Oh,
blessed by God to be different and spiritual in ways that in a repressed Christian environment they
yeah,
can never understand. Okay,
yeah,
so we basically crucify people who are different with either bisexual,
yeah,
homosexual, whatever.
yeah,
Um, but this is a part of our problem. And then we have a bunch of these right-wing loony Republican scumbag governors and lawmakers who are making things worse now all of a sudden because they got power and control.
yeah.
And these bastards should be pulled out from all the rocks they live under and put in manacles and dragged out to the first wall we can find and executed for treason, stupidity.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, it's this country. Look, this country is going to suffer, and frankly, because people don't want to fight it as well as they should, as soon as they should, they're going to suffer. And this
Yeah.
country is going to become a third water theocracy,
Hmm.
and this country is going to just go down. It's going to go down the tubes. It's going to
Yeah.
go down the tubes.
Yep.
So all these white Christian nationalists, and the politicians who support them, they're I'm sorry, they're scum. They're just repressive,
Hmm.
anti-American, anti-democratic
Yeah.
scum. And I don't care who hears this. I mean, this is a shame. This is a crime. Um, where other countries have gotten smarter
Hmm.
and uh, more sensitive and more understanding, they want to go back into the willful ignorance, abject stupidity. It's
Yeah.
a a horror. It's a shame,
Yeah.
But I think that when it comes to personal relationships with couples, that the thing that they should be when they start dating, they should be thinking, well, what does this person really think? What does this
Yeah.
person
What is their
how does this person
core values or beliefs? And because that's gonna be the fundamental things of how like you guys are able to communicate with each other and raise a family and where
Yeah,
you live
uh,
and
but you know what, Linda? I was thinking about this a while back. One of the things I started to realize, and I hadn't thought about it consciously, every relationship I had
yeah,
with a woman,
yeah,
you know, I don't know whether it was an accident. I don't know whether they hit it.
yeah.
None of them were smokers.
Really?
Now, yes. Now I can't. I'm not. I've never smoked. I'm not
Yeah.
a smoker. In fact, I had a couple of tokes of marijuana over a period of time. But the problem with that was because wasn't a smoker, I would choke, I would gasp, I would cough,
Hmm.
and my friends would laugh at me saying, "I can't believe that you can't handle the smoke."
Yeah.
But but there was a reason
Were
for it.
they all smokers or weed?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't, but I wasn't. Okay,
Hmm.
I dabbled, but well, but here's the thing.
Hmm.
So, but I'm thinking, okay, if a woman had been a real, like my late friend Arnie, who was a 3 pack a day smoker,
Wow.
that would have been a talk about values.
Like a
If that
deal
would have
breakers. Like I was asking somebody like what
absolutely,
your deal breakers were. Oh,
Linda, it would be,
Susie, me and Susie were talking about deal breakers.
yeah, that would be a total deal breaker.
Yeah.
Betty Lou, man, she wasn't a smoker.
Hmm.
And I can't I can't. And by the way, the reason why I think that the women in my life that I was tight with, even though they were, booty call relationships, things like that, a smoker, they can't hide it. It's on their breath. It's on their
Yeah, you're
clothing.
gonna smell them and like
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, none of them were smokers, and
yeah,
I don't know whether that was just a happy accident.
yeah,
Uh, I don't know what that was about. I didn't choose
yeah,
them because they don't smoke. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
but the good news is they weren't smokers. So for
Mm,
me, talk about a value.
yeah,
Uh, you smoke, we're done here. We're done.
yeah. Hmm.
We're done. You know,
Yeah.
how about that?
So does your wife have the same religious views as you?
Well, not. She still believes in certain things from her Catholic upbringing.
Oh,
Okay,
so she believes in God then?
I I guess.
I know
Well,
that's really hard for you to say, right?
well, I'll tell you who she believes in. Now listen to this. She believes in I think it's Saint Vincent. Saint Vincent is the saint who is the saint of lost stuff. And so
Hmm.
whenever she can't find anything, she'll
She'll pray
pray
to him
to Saint Vincent to find stuff. And she claims that she always finds stuff when she does that.
after she's asked him, right?
Yeah. And I'm thinking, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, yeah,
But again, like we talk about, as we're older and you talk about that, well, if you die before me, what do you want? All right.
yeah.
So I don't want anything. No, I don't want to wake. I don't
Hmm.
want memorials. Just I'm dead. If I can't enjoy the party, oh, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just say, okay, cremate me, spread my ashes in the ocean. Uh, I'm not gonna get. No, I'm not gonna care. I'm done.
You're like,
All right?
I'm dead. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, my phrase was, I don't want any religious claptrap. I
Yeah.
don't need no prayer. And by the way, no one should cry for me because I've had such a fantastic, wonderful,
Yeah.
exciting, productive life. There's no one should be crying for me when I die.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Okay. I surfed. Rode horses. I traveled the world. I had a
Hmm.
career that I loved teaching, and it loved me back. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, I've been in newspapers for teaching, excellence in teaching,
And now
excellence in
you've
speaking.
been on podcasts,
Now
full
on
life.
podcast. And by the way, Linda, I have to thank you because in some odd way, you have probably made me somewhat immortal because it's going to be up on YouTube for as long as YouTube
Forever.
exists. Yeah, really.
Yes. Yes.
So I humbly thank you for that. I really do.
Well,
Yes.
I'm super thankful that you are doing this with me because I feel honestly in my heart that all the things that you have gifted your students should be immortalized on these podcasts because I feel like you have tons of wit and wisdom that needs to be videotape and spread. And like my sister said too, she's watched all your videos. I think all of them. No, maybe not all of them yet, because we've done a lot. But she said that it was not the same as you writing a blog, because we need you on camera, you with
Okay.
you telling your stories and you doing the body gestures and the stories and all that stuff. Like it needs to be on video.
And by the way, and because of these video podcasts, I have stopped writing my blog because I don't need to anymore.
It's
You
right
see?
here. It's right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I love this. I love the whole thing. But I mean, but my one of my former colleagues, said to me, Bill, he goes, I watched a couple of those podcasts, like the ones about book banning and
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and my very first one. He goes, he said to me, you really are gutsy. I said, what do you mean I'm gutsy? What? He said, you don't pull anything. He said, you don't hold anything back. You
Yeah.
say what you think, you say
Yeah.
what you feel,
Yeah.
and you don't seem to really give a shit. And the answer is, no, I do not give a shit.
Yeah.
If you're a right wing loony political asshole or a religious white Christian nationalist being another asshole trying to control people's lives,
Yeah.
I'm going to say to you, yeah, you're a controlling neo-fascist, asshole. I'm not, this is not what this country was supposed to be about, and you're trying to
Yeah.
change it
Yeah.
because you are fearful, you are nasty, controlling, you got a whole bunch of problems, and you believe in you're willfully ignorant, absurdly stupid. You believe in all kinds of happy horse shit.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's up to people like me to say, no offense or anything, go
But
fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Right?
which is great, which is why this is why
Yeah.
we
In other
all
words,
love you.
no, no, no. Yeah, my attitude, no, I'm saying no to you. I'm not going. I'm not going to roll over and play dead for you
Yeah.
because you want control.
Yeah.
Other people are afraid of you. My attitude is, oh, you want to come after me? I have weapons.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a liberal. I'm a liberal with weapons. I got
Yeah.
shotguns. I got long rifles. I got pistol. I got what?
Do you have
If
one of
you're
those cabinets with all the guns?
No, no, not that. So I'm not that. But I'm saying to you, if you want to try to threaten me and you come near me and try to hurt me, I will blow your head off. I will not be happy about it. I'll
Yeah.
feel bad, but you know what? Don't try to threaten me because I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
You're stupid. You're willfully ignorant, and
Mhm.
basically, you need to be sterilized so you can't breed any more stupid children on the planet.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards. This is
Yeah.
where I'm at. I'm
Mhm.
not. So I watch the news and I'm thinking, holy shit, this country's going to hell in a handbasket. Not because of the liberals, it's because
Yeah.
of these conservative Republican assholes who are just like people listen to them because they don't. For example, you live in Staten Island, right?
Yeah.
You're in New York State. People don't realize. I say this to my wife all the time. Those of us who live in blue states, and like, let's say on the East Coast or like in California on the West Coast,
Yeah.
we take an interest in politics and public events and so forth and so on. The vast majority of the country and what they call the flyover states, the
Yeah.
red states,
Yeah.
they're not listening to the news the way we listen to the news. They're
Yeah.
not reading the issues the way we read the issues.
Yeah.
They don't know. They're just living they're living their lives, doing whatever,
Yeah. Mhm.
and that's fine. But unfortunately, these willfully ignorant bastards can vote, and they vote based upon stuff that is they've been told a lot of lies, and they
Yeah.
believe the lies, and
Yeah.
they vote accordingly. So
Mhm.
as a consequence, the majority is being controlled by a minority because
Yeah.
of how they've gerrymandered districts and shit like that. So the fact of the matter is, like the Supreme Court. They have a right wing leaning Supreme Court. The
Mhm.
majority of this country does not believe and want what this right wing Supreme Court is starting to do. They
Mhm.
want legalized abortion. We want
Yeah.
legalized abortion.
Yeah.
We want other kinds of things. We want the poor to be protected. We
Yep.
want immigration to be safe and whatever. This is a country of immigrants. Why would you stop having immigrants come in? We need immigrants to continue to build up our culture, build up our
Yeah.
economy. I mean,
Yeah.
so what's happening is you got these scumbag governors like DeSantis in Florida, Abbott in Texas, and now they're getting more in other worthless red states like Missouri, Mississippi, places like that. uh, and their populations don't want half of the things that they're creating laws for.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
so this country is going, it's going to go down the tubes, unfortunately, sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So and this, by the way, goes back to my original comment about marriages. It's about values. The value system of certain politicians are
Yeah.
scummy
Yeah.
and willfully ignorant and absurdly stupid, and yet the value systems of the majority of their populations are not.
Yeah.
But that majority is being hornswoggled by minority lawmakers. So it's really, I have to say, in terms of lots of things, it's all part of the same issue, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, so that's my statement on that. I'm sure I
Yeah.
pissed off a lot. I sure the last 5 or 10
Well,
minutes I pissed
what
off
is
a lot
your
of.
friend? What is your friend's point of view about all these things when you tell him this? Does he feel the same way you do? Does he have the
Which,
same?
well, which friend?
The friend, they said that you have basically the balls to say all of these things on the podcast. You said that he watched the first
Oh,
two.
yeah. No, understand. This particular guy agrees with me.
Okay.
He just what he's fascinated by is my willingness to be publicly up,
Opinionated.
and upfront. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I told him, I said, look, I'm in
Well,
my,
you've always been like this, even in your classrooms,
yeah,
like you.
absolutely. And by
Yeah.
the way, I got away with it.
Yeah.
But the laws now in some of these red states, they're trying to get guys like me to, them to put me in a box where I won't say anything in fear of losing my job or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. I'm
Yeah.
in that. Look, I'm retired.
Yeah.
20. It'll be
Well, yeah,
20.
which is great now. Now we can have these, views of yours documented.
Hey, look, I'll be retired 22 years as of June.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah, over 2 decades.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not poor. And the fact of the matter is, I can say whatever I need and want to say.
Exactly.
I can afford to be honest, and not, yeah, they're not really. And this is the issue. They can't really stifle and control someone like me. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they can't say, well, you're going to lose your job. Well,
Yeah.
no, I'm not.
No, you don't need anybody's money. You have your
and
own.
and, and I'm independently wealthy, so they can't
Yeah.
stop. They can't try to hurt me financially. So the fact of the matter is, people like me are a real thorn in the side of right wing
Hmm.
loonies, repressed mothers and fathers. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a real problem with these parents trying to, censor and ban books. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
how freaking stupid are you? And
Yeah,
you'll
I
hear.
don't understand. Why would you ban books? Like, wouldn't you want people to have all kinds of knowledge about everything and be
No, but see,
worldly? Why would you want them closed-minded?
here's what they believe erroneously. They think, oh, my child is going to be traumatized if they read this, or if they read this, they're going to want to be gay, or worse yet, transgender. No, that's not how it works. It's not how it
I
works.
mean,
What?
majority those people are already racist from the get-go.
Yeah, but what's so stupid about it is they're stupid parents because why? I know I've taught these stupid parents children for over 50 years.
Yeah. Were you
The
able to
kid
change any of their views, these stupid kids?
No, no, no. The kids are fine. The kids are
Oh,
easy.
okay.
That's the point. The parents are the stupid ones. Okay,
Okay.
the parents are the clueless
Yeah, but
ones.
there's got to be some kids that believe the same horse shit that the parents like believe in, no?
Yeah, well, yeah, they do. But then they have to deal with somebody like me. And
Yeah.
here's what happens. They have to start thinking about what I've said. Then
Yeah.
they start hearing how so many of their friends agree with me and not with their parents. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
so there is an awful lot of change there.
Yeah.
And also, the other part of the thing is that students who are told by their parents, "I don't want you to read this. I don't want you to read that. Uh, I don't want you to do this." Guess what they do? They're gonna say, "Yeah, okay, okay, ma, okay, dad, sure, that's great." Meanwhile, when the parents are not around, or unbeknownst to their parents, they will read these books. They'll get those books. They'll get those talk about with their friends these other ideas. And what happens is this: what's great about young people is they're much more malleable, much
Hmm.
more open-minded than their parents are, because their parents
Hmm.
live in fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And understand this, Linda. I've said it before. When when their kids are born, parents, from the day their kids are born, they live in fear. They live in fear that those kids will get a disease, get run over by a bus, they'll get kidnapped, they'll be, I mean, I understand it intellectually, totally. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
But um, they think that by trying to keep their kids from reading or hearing
Yeah.
certain kinds of content,
Yeah.
that they're protecting their kids. Here's the rule. Here's the rule. Forewarned is forearmed.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
just like my lifeguard pals said to me, Billy, you need to be aware that certain men are homosexual, and you need to be aware of that. I was forearmed to be aware of and protect myself from homosexual men
Mhm.
with whom I did not want to get involved.
Yeah.
Forewarned is forearmed.
I
So
like that.
what?
That'll be the quote for the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the job of people like me with parents who are fearful?
Yeah.
Understandably, they're understandably fearful. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, I do,
Mhm.
but I don't agree with them. I don't side with them. I say, look, your job, like my parents warned me about everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get go. My mother would say to my sister and to me, I think I mentioned it. You know what? Priests are men first, and priests second. Nuns or women first, and nuns second.
Mhm.
That they're still humans. They've
Yeah.
got urges. They've
Yeah.
got issues. And you have to be understand that sometimes they may want to say stuff to you and whatever, and say, you know what, you have to understand that you need to be careful
Oh,
when.
that's good that she warned you.
Oh, absolutely. And and
Yeah.
by the way, my mother was a religious person. She was a devout Catholic. Okay,
That's
so
great that she warned you.
yeah, and this is where I'm saying to you that when parents have this notion that they need to, like the helicopter parents, they're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna. I have it in my own family. Okay,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna go after the teachers. We're gonna watch them, whatever they say, whatever they do. Well, you know what? You're probably wrong about that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, there were a couple of shitty teachers. There were a couple of perverted teachers. No, I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
But what I'm also saying to you is that if you train your kids to understand that there
Yeah.
are such people in the world, well, they'll be
Yeah.
ready for it. They'll know how
Yeah.
to deal with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
like they're not living in a sheltered environment and not be aware of any of those
A-
things, the predators
Abs-
and
yeah.
people and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that was part of my job. I mean, I think I told you the story. Maybe it was in a previous podcast. I used to ask every year my students, how many of you learned about the facts of life from someone or some place other than your parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd
I
be
would raise,
everybody's hand.
yeah, all the hands would go up. My hand would go up.
Yeah.
I think I told the story about my father. I think it was like I was like 16 when
Oh
my
yeah,
mother.
did he take you fishing? I think it was the
Yeah, right,
story. He took you
right,
fishing,
yeah.
right?
So what I'm saying is a parent.
They already know. They already know, right?
Yes, my problem with parents is they live in this little bubble that they think they know whatever their kids are doing, whatever the
Yeah.
kids are into.
Yeah.
And they also think that, well, I'm going to wait to when they get to be a certain age to have certain conversations.
Yeah.
The kids are way smarter than they are. They way more perceptive than they are.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
realize too that their parents are, in lots of ways, knuckleheads who are
Yeah.
asleep with the switch. Okay,
Yeah.
so and that's why a guy like me is so important, because I tell them the truth. You know what? You're
Yeah.
right. Your parents, yes, you should love your parents, and I'm sure they
Yeah.
love you, but
Mhm.
they're afraid. And yeah, your parents are clueless, overprotective knuckleheads. And
Yep.
yeah, you're all right to say, yeah, don't tell them the truth of stuff, because
Mhm.
it'll make your lives miserable.
Yeah.
You learn the stuff that they have refused to learn, or refused to acknowledge. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you'll be better for it. And you can just say, you know what, I love my parents, but you know what, they really are kind of clueless.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Like my kid, like I'm always willing to tell my kids like and answer all of their questions. They're probably scared now to ask me anything because I'm gonna tell them the truth. They're like, I always say like, so do you want to know? They're like, I don't know. I don't know if we really want to hear the real truth or
Yeah, yeah. but now, Linda, how do you feel about what I just said? I mean, how do you feel? I mean, are you think though I'm being too, uh, how shall I say,
Far out, liberal,
yeah,
outrageous. No,
too
I
unsympathetic about
honestly,
parents?
I mean, I enjoy these conversations because I agree with everything you're saying, and if I didn't, I would tell you I don't agree with it, but I agree with majority of everything you say.
I
Because
mean, look,
I'm super liberal. I don't, and I question everything. I don't agree with like everything I see on the media.
sure.
So to me, I'm like a super, I question everything.
I mean, one of the saddest things is to show you how parents think they know their children, but they really don't.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, it still bothers me. I've had way too many suicidal students.
Oh,
Suicidal students, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And some of them I personally was able to help. And in the cases where I wasn't able to, I knew that there were
yeah.
other teachers who had maybe a better relationship with these particular students,
To
and
help them.
they helped them. Yeah, but there were a couple that none of us could help,
Really?
and
Okay.
parents were absolutely
Clueless?
adamant. Yeah, clueless and adamant there was nothing wrong with their children.
Really?
Okay.
Even though the teacher told them that your
The
son or
teacher let
daughter might.
the teachers let them know, the guidance counselor, the guidance department let them know, and they said, "Oh no, 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 it's going through a
Really?
phase." Yeah, absolutely. And then when the kids ultimately committed suicide, they were devastated. They were devastated.
So this
And we
happened. This happened. How many times did this happen?
let me think. I think at least two
Wow.
that personally I still have never gotten over them.
Really?
Never. I have never gotten over them.
Wow. What
And
what year were you teaching when this
oh
happened?
God, Linda, I don't remember. I
Oh,
really
okay.
don't remember. But I had and both of them were honor students too.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I
And
mean, yeah, like when my sister was in Cornell, there was at least one suicide a year, and they would jump off the gorge in Cornell
I
University.
know. And now, as somebody who has always loved life, I don't understand how bereft, how depressed young people could be to be suicidal at in their their youth, in their prime of life, really.
Well, I mean,
Eh,
I could. If
Yeah,
you
I
if
can.
you you
I
know
really
if you
can.
could if you were coming from my kind of family, I can
Yeah,
see it, but thank God I never felt that way.
yeah, yeah.
Because if you're living in a prison for such a long time, just like if someone was actually living in a physical prison,
Right.
you kind of lose hope. But thank God I never lost hope.
Yeah,
But that's how you would feel. Like if someone was not as strong as me mentally to feel like, that you're worthy of a better life and that you can
yeah.
get out of this prison, you wouldn't have any hope. Possibly you wouldn't think that there's anything good out there. You would think that everyone's bad if you're already being treated bad at home from the parents that should be taking care of you.
Well, I look. I see that. I when you say it that way, I understand what you're saying. I do.
Yeah, yeah,
I just have never, personally, I've never felt
yeah,
that way. As
yeah,
bad as things were, I never felt suicidal.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So the
Um.
bad as it was for you was that year, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So like for me, I feel like my bad started probably when I was age 5 until I was a freshman in high school.
Right.
So that's how many years? That's like 10 years maybe. How old are you when you were a freshman?
I was. Let me
15,
think. As a
16?
freshman. Okay. Let me think. I was
Maybe 15
probably
or 16, right?
no, no, no. As a freshman in high school or college.
High school.
I think it's like you're around
Yeah.
14 or 15.
50,
Yeah.
yeah, around there. So like that's a lot of years to be
Sure.
in a prison. And if you're young and in a prison, your brain is getting completely bamboozled by a
Yeah.
bunch of shit knowledge at home.
Yeah. I never had that feeling in high school.
Yeah.
I never had bad a time. It wasn't until I was my first year in college where my mother started to unravel. She had a whole thing about Betty Lou and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
but again, it was even though she stuck a knife in me, you know,
Well, we have that in common, right? Like here, this is
yeah,
like
yeah,
4-inch knife right here
yeah,
is when
yeah,
my
yeah.
dad stabbed it
I
here
had
and tried
this.
to kill
I
me.
had I had this scar on my one. My biggest bitch was I had this wonderful, beautiful
Tan.
pectoralis major. What a I had a chest. I remember there was one girl, I'll never forget. She used to wear this really sexy crocheted white bikini. And every time, and she used to, she goes, and she had this great bod and a great tan. But she said to me, "I hate walking next to you when we walk from the Gilgo Beach in down to the beach." I said, "Why?" She goes, "Because you have bigger boobs than I do."
Oh
So I
my
said,
God.
"Well, hey, look, that's that boobs are not your strong point, you know." But but anyway, I just kind of feel that I was so well aware of teenagers having had problems at home that their parents uh, either didn't weren't aware of, or they refused to believe that.
Knowledge, or they just didn't care about their kids.
Well, okay, there might have been that they didn't care, but I also felt at the time they refused to accept the fact that they weren't listening to the kids to find out that yeah, there really were issues that
Yeah.
were traumatizing them,
Yeah.
and they just didn't take them seriously.
Well, here's the thing also is that a lot of your students were also coming from immigrant families, and immigrant parents, majority of them don't care about what their kids feel. It's
You know
not
what?
because it's not
You know,
part of their training of mentality. Their mentality coming here to the US is to survive and make money. So they're in survival mode. So they're just ignoring their kids. Like the kids are coming home from the bus
you
alone
know,
and doing whatever. And
I hate to agree with that, and I hate to kind of say, I guess because I want to believe that parents really do care about their children, and they really do want the best for them. And yet, I
but
do know
the,
you're right. I
but the
do get
funny thing is
regular.
that a lot of my friends that I talk to on these podcasts, that's this real situation of what happened to a lot of them that I'm finding out more now that a lot of their parents did not give a shit about them at all.
Yeah, and you know what? But I'm saying to you,
Yeah.
I hate to agree with that. I hate to
Yeah.
deal with that.
You hate to know that that's what's happening, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But
And
I mean, end of the day, like a majority of us still turned out great. So,
well, here's the thing.
you
I
know,
think that the it's a two-edged sword. I think that the good news is, and you've mentioned certain teachers' names, and I've agreed that those particular teachers were good people, great
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
That because of the kinds of teachers that we had,
Yes.
and even when a lot of the teachers you mentioned, well, a lot of the teachers that look, every school has a mixed bag of teachers in terms of
Yeah.
their ability and
Yeah. Hmm.
their dedication and so on. But we had so many teachers who really honestly cared about the students in Central ISA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if I thought they were kind of like lame instructors and things like that, they
Hmm.
cared about the people that their
Yeah.
students were.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've said in the previous podcast. Thank God for those teachers who
Yeah,
cared
that's
about
right.
me and cared that, oh, like Linda's artistic. Let's look out for her. Like, so
Sure.
thank God I had some of those teachers
Yeah. Yeah.
appreciating the artistic, abilities that I had and
Yeah.
help push me to go to art school, you
Yeah.
know.
But I also think, I mean, I think that, it's the parents, some of the parents never realized how lucky they were.
I know. I'll be amazing daughter.
Yeah, really. And when I used to hear from you, when I used to get a sense from you and other students that somehow your parents were less than appreciative of the kinds of people you were,
Yeah.
that always bothered me. I'm thinking, I said,
Yeah.
wait a second. I would be so proud to have these students, males and females, to be my children, my own children.
Yeah.
Okay, they're bright, they're funny,
Yeah.
creative. They got prospects.
Yeah.
I was always
It's a
uh,
cultural thing. It's a cultural divide because it's completely an immigrant parent mentality. Well, in our
Yeah,
case, it was that. But
but
obviously they have different types of
yeah,
races.
but I don't know that it's just immigrant parents. I think
No,
that
that's what I mean. It's not just immigrant, but in our
yeah,
case, it was immigrant. But other,
yeah,
yeah, it could be like a broad spectrum of
sure. We
parents.
look, we had a lot of second, third generation parents and
Yeah,
things.
yeah, exactly. It could be that. It
I
could be
just think
anybody,
that
really, right?
but again, it goes back to about how I had said to you in a previous podcast that the surveys that they had done over the years, you had they said that teachers were uh,
Mm-hmm.
better, more perceptive
Yeah,
than the parents of those of kids
yeah,
as to how uh, who they were and how successful they would be in the future.
yeah,
Okay,
and that's true.
because you look, we all have facades. When we put a facade on with certain, like my facade would change depending on the kind of personality, and it's still even today the kind of personality I realize I'm dealing
Yeah,
with.
yeah,
So you change that
yeah.
facade
Me
because
too.
you're trying to make that relationship work.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'll see that on my podcast of who I'm talking to.
Yeah, well, no, no, sure, I've noticed. I've noticed.
Yeah,
So I think that it's important that teachers see kids in ways that parents don't see them because their
yep,
children in school are not showing the same facade at home that they're showing with their friends,
yep,
with their teachers, and everything
yep.
else. And
Exactly.
consequently, we get a much more, I think, have the
Broader
ability.
spectrum.
Well, yeah. Also, we have the ability to perceive a much more honest
Yeah,
uh, view of those students in our classroom and around school during the cool school day
yeah,
than the
yeah,
parents do. Because the
yeah,
parents they're so busy like saying, "Well, you're lazy. You don't clean up your room, and you don't do
yeah,
this, and you don't
yeah.
do that." And yet,
Exactly.
but in our classrooms, like, we see these brilliantly articulate, funny,
Yeah,
smart young people
yeah,
that their parents don't see them that way. They just don't.
yeah.
They really
I
don't.
know.
Yeah, and in fact, I remember I cannot tell you how many times I've told parents, "Boy, your kid, male or female,
Yeah.
what a great kid! What a smart."
And are they surprised?
Yeah, like they're shocked. Really? They go, "Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Really? My son is a." Oh no, oh God, he's a sweetheart. He's great. He writes well and he speaks well and
Hmm.
he's really affable and other
They're like,
students.
what? Our son? What?
That kid, he never cleans up his room. He
Hmm.
doesn't do shit around the house. Doesn't want to mow the lawn.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and it's such a, it's so, it's both funny and sad at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well,
very good.
listen, I really appreciate having this conversation today. And before we wrap it up, I just want to get a little Captain Schiavo testimony of what you think of my podcast so far.
You know what? Look, I have a bias. The ones I've seen, I know I do. I already told you I loved the one with you, the two-parter with you and Sarujini,
Yeah,
because I love you both. I've known you both, and Sarujini, like I said, she was a star from the moment I met her, and and in her maturity now, she was mature then, but she's even more mature because she's older now.
yeah, yeah.
She's everything I perceived as being true and possible.
Hmm.
And same thing with you, and you same thing with it. So that was a great one. I then finally, just recently, I just
Yeah,
watched the one with Trisha, and that was a real eye opener for me because I saw her and her background and her achievements in a different light.
yeah,
And she was very kind about her comments about me, certainly.
yeah.
But more than that, what she has gone through in her life and
Hmm.
how she has made it be productive and valuable and totally worthwhile. I
Yeah,
said, my God, and again, I said it before about how when I see these podcasts with former students that I had, and there were friends and classmates of yours, I go, my God, I was so right about these people. So that's what. So it kind of satisfies my ego, going, "Oh my
yeah,
God, you weren't wrong about these young people when
yeah,
they were
yeah,
your
yeah.
students." And I see them now in their mid 40s or whatever their ages are,
Yeah,
and I'm
40,
thinking,
45, 46.
yeah, and I'm thinking, damn, they really have accomplished all the things you knew they were capable but
Yeah.
they've surpassed really your
Mhm.
expectations and the possibilities that you know thought they were
Well, that's
capable.
amazing if they surpass what you thought, right?
Oh, listen, Linda, I'm telling you something. And this goes to this thing about we go through this all the time.
Yeah.
I always feel that people don't understand about how the kind of environment that the Central Islip High School provided for its students
Yeah.
has made such incredible young people
Yeah.
and productive and you know fascinating people.
Yeah.
You know, I
Well,
think
I
it's
think it's a testament to the teachers who were there and cared about all the students. So I commend you and thank you for being one of the best of CI.
I am totally flattered, honored, grateful for that perception of me. I really am. You know, I have to say that again, if you're listening to me uh, about how I was such a basically a hedonistic, superficial guy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it never dawned on me then that I might have become such a valuable
Yeah.
uh, tool, if you will, a valuable asset to
Yes.
the kids in my class. So I thank all of you and all of your classmates and other students from Central ISIP who have said such wonderful, surprisingly wonderful things about me. I'm going to die a even happier man than I thought. You
Well,
know.
yeah, exactly. Like me, along with, I don't even know how many students you've had, but I'm sure 99% of them all would wish you, the best of like everything and to thank you for all you've done for all of us and the lives you changed. Like, so I'm sure all of us thank you to the bottom of our hearts for
Well,
you
that's
being
it's been
you. It's just the thing is, and also in my podcast is the essence of all of these that I want to tell people is to you just have to be you. You just have to be authentically you so you will lead a more happy
and you know
life.
what I noticed? I noticed about the podcast you did with Trisha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
she used, as I have often used with you in these podcasts, she
Mhm.
used the correct word. She used the word authentic.
Yeah.
You know?
Hmm.
And I think that this is the key to success and happiness in life. That once individuals ascertain for themselves what it means to be
Authentically.
authentically themselves,
Exactly.
that once they do that, they can have a much happier, much more productive life going
Yeah,
forward. And I think that's,
exactly.
and I give you great kudos for having podcasts that allow people to show their authenticity
Yes.
publicly. And I think that's
Yes.
great. That's
I
great.
think it's beautiful. And I feel like finally at 46, I feel like I'm 99% authentically myself. I think I have, just a tiny bit of more work to do, and maybe I'll be as enlightened as you.
Well, I am now almost exactly 30 years older than you.
Yeah.
And yes, I have pretty much been authentic, much to everybody's and some people's dismay.
Yeah, yeah, it is to a lot of people's dismay, but
But
the
but
students,
but
we loved it.
but the fact is, I am as happy as the proverbial clam at high
You
tide.
are. You're happy as a clam.
So there. So I can't say that at my age I am, uh, I'm abysmally unhappy and regretful. No, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah.
And thanks to students and former students like you and people like you, I am. I can say, yeah, you know what? I didn't waste my life. So thank you very much. And that's how I'm going to end this podcast. How
Yes,
about
I totally agree. Thank you so much. And cheers till the next one.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I
Cheers.
think my glass is empty. I'm gonna have to refill.
I know. And plus, here's a last note for you. You need to get on a treadmill because we need to do more podcasts and more shirts. So you need to get on the treadmill.
I will absolutely do that. Thank you.
Okay? All right.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. shredder. So tomorrow my plan is I'm
Mhm.
going to be shredding papers for who knows how long. Okay.
You need a shredding company.
Yeah, well, no, I do it myself. But the point is that, like in terms of organization, it's important now as my wife and I are getting
Yeah.
older. It's easy to misplace stuff.
Mm.
Okay, and my wife, she she will hide things. When we
Really?
go out, yeah, she'll hide stuff, and she hides them so well she can't remember where she put them.
Oh yeah. Oh, I already do that.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Oh.
s- that this today we had gone out and she was looking for a pocketbook. Why? Because her car keys were in them.
Yeah. Oh.
So we were out at a wine tasting dinner on Sunday, and you know she just realized, oh my God, I don't know where my car keys are. She had me
Yeah.
all set up to call the restaurant to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
did I leave a pot? Was there a pocketbook there? Just as I'm about to call, she goes, oh, guess what? I found it. Had put it in some closet in her room, her study.
Oh
And
man.
like no, we have this is a four-bedroom
Yeah.
home. So what happens is that we turned our two smallest bedrooms into
Mhm.
studies. And
Mm.
so we have
Mhm.
a big master bedroom and then a slightly smaller but large
Yeah. Yeah.
guest bedroom, bedroom. So anyway, but the organizational thing, and plus the fact, she's one of these people who does at the change of seasons, she'll do spring cleaning and fall cleaning and
Mhm.
summer or this and and we both have way too much clothing. But anyway, so okay, so a couple of things I
Yeah.
had mentioned to you. I had heard a mistake I made on one of the
Yes.
podcasts, and that was about I mentioned Plato and his philosophy of the world of, I said forms, but
Yeah.
I meant to say it's forms and ideas, and the forms part of it is for concrete material stuff in the material world. What
Mhm.
I meant to say in that particular conversation, that context, was it was his world of ideas, which is really the abstract thing. Okay.
Mm.
So I had to
Mhm.
clarify that. And I then, we were doing, on the etiquette one, I meant to mention and I didn't, and I should
Yeah.
have. There are certain things you should say and certain things you shouldn't say. So, for example, you shouldn't say, uh, so and so is not here. Okay.
Yeah.
Or you shouldn't say where they are.
Mhm.
You say, okay, uh, my wife is
Yeah.
unavailable. Now, my father, with his his really crazy sense of humor,
Uh-oh.
what he used to do to me was, especially if Betty Lou called, okay, okay, he would say, yeah, well, Billy can't answer right now. He's on the crapper. And I wasn't on the crapper, but he
Yeah.
would say it just to
Oh,
embarrass me with her.
oh my God. You're like, thanks, Dad. Thanks
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I really appreciate that because then he'd say, "Well, it really is called a crapper because it was this 18th century British inventor that was named Thomas Crapper, and
Oh,
they
really? See,
oh
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know that. See, I love
yeah.
all
No,
this
that's true. Well,
information.
here's the other part of that. See, the other part of this, they gave him credit for inventing the flush toilet.
Mhm.
But apparently somebody else did. But I
Yeah.
guess he would merchandise them or something. But that name didn't come out of somebody's kind of wacky sense of humor. It really was a
That
guy
was
named
someone's really last name. So
Thomas
the
Crapper.
crapper
Yeah,
really is the crapper.
yeah, Crappr. But that was my father's kind of sense of humor, And of course, anytime he can embarrass me with some of these girls, it was
Yeah.
what I was doing. But I loved him for it, and she did too. She just thought he was the